Welcome to the Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS,
I was pleasantly surprised.
BlackGirlMarvel,
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
TylertheFilmmaker.
It's like so much depth. It's like nowadays it's, you got A shot, B shot.
Allthemoviethings.
There's some great wide shots in this.
JeannineDaBean.
Each other. They just kind of look like they were having fun and doing their own thing.
Produced by Hyena. And me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
But this was the first time where I got to see it told in a way where I was like, oh man.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Hello and welcome to the Real Study. My name is MrSniDBitS, and with me, as always, I've got BlackGirlMarvel, JeannineDaBean, and all the movie things, and we are here for an all Mel Brooks evening. I'm sure we'll talk about more than just these two movies, but we're going to be covering 1974 Young Frankenstein and 1986 Spaceballs, among others. Next week, we're going to be doing Fresh Kills and The Kitchen, and that is the newest The Kitchen, because there are more than one. So keep that in mind for next week. Before we get to the main part of the show, we're going to move over to the main wall and talk to Law about social media.
Before I get into social media, can I just say our intro with Keys, the way he says Aina's name is amazing. I put that out there.
Aina.
Yeah, it's such sauce when he says her name.
Right.
It's like he'll be like MrSniDBitS, Black Girl, JeannineDaBean, and then when it gets Aina, it's like Aina.
Extra.
It's like a little. I like the way he says that.
Yeah.
But as
It's
always,
like her WWE entrance.
yes, like
Right?
that comes out, she's walking out like this, Aina.
Love it.
It's just really good. I was like, okay, Keys, we see who your favorite is. Okay, all right.
Well, you can tell, yeah. You can
Yeah,
tell that's his
absolutely. But make sure you follow us on all social media. That's the YouTubes, the TikToks, the Instagrams, the Blue Skies. We are also on all your favorite podcasts, shows or listening apps and all that jazz. So we're on Podcast Republic, Anchor, Spotify, Google. We're on all those. So if you want to listen to us in your car, as one of my friends, he actually does listen to us in his car. He told me, he was like, I was listening to you guys today. So that's always a great feeling. So if you want to give us that feeling, go ahead and listen to us in your car, or pull us up on the YouTubes and subscribe, and it helps the channel push the algorithm, all that jazz. And if you want to talk to us separately or as a group, we do have a Discord. Join us on Discord, and we can play some games. We have good talks on there. You can also say if you want to have us review a movie that you want us to check out or something, or maybe you are like an old school movie watcher and you're like, you need to see this. We are gang. We kind of go through all genres. We don't really say no to anything, even though we can. But we would love your suggestions. So join us on Discord as well. And don't forget to sub if you're watching us right now on Twitch or YouTube. Back to you, MrSniDBitS.
Thank you, BlackGirlMarvel. I really appreciate that. What's interesting is there a genre we haven't done? We've done a lot of movies now, so it makes me wonder that question.
I
don't think so either.
Because we've done a documentary or two, I'm sure. I think we have.
No, we have not done docs. That's
we haven't done docs.
Yeah,
okay.
Just movies. Yeah, because we've even done silent films, so we've kind of covered it all.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we do have a couple of Reel Roundups that we do, and then of course one little tiny piece of news, but I really wanted to bring it up, and then we'll get to our movies. So why don't we do the news first? Let's head to the news.
Head on over, Aina. No, so ass.
Now it's time for the real news.
So, apparently there's a remake of the Starship Troopers movie that's going to be coming out, and it's going to have Neil Blomkamp as the director.
Nice.
So
I'm okay with that.
I am too. His sci-fi when it hits is really solid, but seems like he needs to make movies here, because when he makes movies in South Africa, they don't hit as well. And I'm not sure whether that's a language barrier or what's going on, but I'm interested. I really wanted to see his Alien take that he was supposed to do.
No, absolutely. Me too. Yeah.
But no, of course not. Now, my concern with this is, do they keep it in a satirical
like that
format?
campy tone,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Because it's important, because it's tongue in cheek and making fun of these people, not glorifying them necessarily.
Yeah.
Although when you're
It's
19,
not necessarily a remake of the film. It's going to be a more true adaptation to the book. is what
All right.
I've been hearing. So it's technically like could be a remake. Could say it's a remake of the original film, but the original film, I guess, wasn't very close to the book. Like they changed a lot of stuff in the film. So, but yeah, so we'll see what
So
on camp's
like a-
thing is going to be more like the book, closer to the
like a
book.
Dune thing, right? Is basically what
Yeah,
we're gonna do because
right.
Denny was like, no, this is not a remake of Lynch's Dune.
Right.
So all right.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I love Neil
good
Blomkamp.
directors, make good movies. And I don't care if it's an already used property or not.
Yeah.
What I do want to talk about, because this is a great transition right into the movie I'm going to talk about, is movies with enormous budgets that don't seemingly need enormous budgets. So I got to see The Electric State, which anybody can watch on Netflix currently. And since it's a brand new movie and I don't get to see new movies as often as other people, I jumped on this one really quickly. And I loved the preview. The preview got me really excited. I was like, oh, cool, robots, weird alternate past. Like this could be cool. No, I'm sorry. I
was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
It was so just flat. Like I didn't feel any spark of emotion. It's a beautiful film. I think the design of the film is great. I think the robots are very cool looking.
300 million look good.
320
looking.
million or something. Yeah, something like that. But like people are talking about like this is knockoff Han Solo, and I'm like, yeah,
That's
kind of.
Yeah, like you can tell just from that
I mean,
image.
totally. Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, like it was so this is what I saw. I've watched most of the Russo brothers films, and I saw that they hit big with Infinity War and Endgame, and so they were like, that's the formula, and they applied that formula to this, and they didn't have any time to do what Marvel did and setting up 10 years worth of stuff.
Yeah.
And they kept just trying for it with exposition and with like little tiny clips to give us these like heartstring pulls, and I was just like, you didn't earn any of it, and you're not gonna get me with it. It's not that I like tried to tear the movie apart. I was genuinely like, okay, where's this gonna go? Because the intro kind of gets you. You're like, okay,
yeah,
this
you
is
sound
kinda
really
cool.
open to you, that you went into it with a really open mind.
I really was, right? So I was like
then the
excited
movie
that
ruined it
maybe
for you.
this, and then the movie ruined it for me. And it wasn't even like Chris Pratt that ruined it for me. This is the piece of news I
Ironically.
wanted to say. He actually came out and was like, after looking back at my movies, all of them, I kind of, in the big blockbuster ones, I kind of play the same dude every time. We're like, yeah, Chris, we know, like we saw your movies.
Yeah.
And in this, he's again, he's
It's okay,
Star-Lord
darling.
with less sass, which
It's
isn't
o-
as
it's-
cool.
It's okay, darling. You could be you in every film. Okay.
You can. No, and there are some actors that make a living being
Just doing
themselves in film.
I mean, a lot of them do. A lot of them are great actors at the same time, even though they kind of play the same. Is sometimes
Morgan
it's what
Freeman is the guy I always come to. Like he
Michael
plays the
Cera.
same guy and everything. Michael Cera.
Mhm.
But they're really good at it, right?
they're really good at
playing
it.
that
Like I
character.
enjoy it anytime I see it. Like
Right.
it's just that
And there's-
sometimes it might not fit for the movie.
Right.
It's like
But there's room for Chris Pratt because we do need that kind of,
mhm.
douchey guy in movies, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know. Electric State, go watch it for yourself. It's on Netflix, but
Yeah.
I think they should start. They could have made this movie with less CGI and for $100 million and made it with more heart. They literally could have done that.
Yeah, like I don't have Netflix anymore, but after hearing it's been a resounding negative from everyone about this film.
I've heard too.
And one of the disappointing things, it's like based on the work of Simon Stalanog, who also did Tales from the Loop, which there's a great Amazon series that it's incredible. Like it's what's ironic is like since this movie came out, I have a TikTok where I talk about Tales from the Loop. That thing has been like spiking in views again, and it's such a beautiful film, but they really stick really close to like his art and his style. I mean, I literally have like his art up on my wall here in my home, and and I have his book Tales from the Loop also. So the Electric State is all that same kind of art, but they didn't really stick too true to like the look and feel. Like if they would have kind of like leaned into more of like staying close to his work. Also, I think maybe they would have done better with a series on this one too, rather than a film.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I said in my initial review is that a trilogy could have earned it. They could have done the 3 acts just in 3 films,
Mhm.
and then
Still
or
spent
6
$320 million,
right? And still spent the same
for
amount of
3
money.
films. Like,
Or they
but you
could have
could
did
had
like
a little bit more.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it, but from how y'all talking about it, they could have did a thing how they did with what is it, Sherlock, where like each season was just like 3 episodes, but they were like an hour
right?
apiece.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So
100%.
like you could have had it so it was a season, you had 3 or 4 episodes that are like an
Yeah, that's
hour
typically like how British shows
apiece.
run.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you could have did it like that. I wish Americans would take that and stop recreating
with
British stuff,
streaming
but
now,
take
like,
but take the smarter part of it
Netflix
of using like 4 episodes, an hour
shows.
apiece. That's solid.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. They make miniseries
Yeah.
already. Like they do. So why didn't they? I don't know.
Right. So
And then also
yeah.
not have a theatrical
Yeah.
run, so you can
Right.
potentially make some.
I don't know
money back,
how they're
but-
going to make their money. Like,
No,
I
I
don't
know.
know how they're going to make it because
No.
people are canceling Netflix, not signing up for a $320 million flop. Like,
No,
It's-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, it felt like there were moments where I was like, did somebody that made after school specials do the audio for this movie? Like, it felt like not just hollow because the characters felt
Yeah.
hollow, which is weird. It's ironic because these are
sound
robots,
quality
so they're supposed to
also.
be hollow or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, but it shouldn't ring true. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here and bash it. I want people to be able to see it for themselves because apparently, looking on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics panned the living crap out of this movie,
Oh
but
yeah.
the audiences loved it. There are
Interesting.
people that are
Yeah.
really, really loving it, and I'm like, okay, I'd love to hear why. I'm not trying to say you're wrong. It's not what we do here. I'm just curious as to what about it. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think if you guys end up seeing it. So,
Yeah.
I was
see.
gonna check it out. So yeah, we'll see.
well, I hope I made it better for you by destroying it, right? 'Cause
Yes, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
a little more gung ho now to watch it.
Well, Mr. Marvelite the other day, he was like, I read your Venom review because I reviewed the 3rd one and I eviscerated the crap out of the film. And he was like, well, I liked it a lot more after reading your review. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm doing a service.
Maybe you
to
just
people.
knew what to look out for.
Yeah.
Right. Or he was like, nah, he made that sound worse than it was. You know.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
fine. That's fine.
Either way.
Ba, you got to see Opus, an A24 film. Tell us
Yeah.
what you think.
First and foremost, go see it. It's in theaters now. It stars Ayo Adebri. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. John Malkovich. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know. And Juliet Lewis. I cannot say her name to save my life. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It gave me Midsummer vibes a little bit, just a little bit. Which was a kind of a letdown in a sense because Midsommar was so well done. It was just so well done that this kind of was like off the same vine of it. So it just it wasn't done as well, but in its own way, it was a very interesting story about Ayo plays this like journalist who is kind of like overlooked at work, and John Malkovich plays a pop star. Ironically, he sings in this too. I believe that's his
What?
actual
John
voice.
Malkovich?
Yes.
Playing a pop star.
Last person I would think.
No.
Yes. He plays like a pop star that like he was like the biggest thing, like his
So it's
music
like
just
a la Bill
hit,
Nighy and
yeah, like he just
in Love Actually.
Oh,
Yes,
Oh, I was
yes.
thinking Hugh Grant in music and lyrics, but
Yes, that too though. I was
Yeah,
thinking about that
yeah.
too.
Okay.
So he was like this guy that was like pop charts, broke records, and then he like disappeared for 30 years.
Okay.
So when the film starts, he's like getting back into like he's coming back with an album after 30 years. So everybody's like losing their minds, and like the film kind of shows how addictive his music is, how addictive his personality is, like things like that.
Yeah.
And he sends out these care packages to get people to come to his estate to listen to his music. And because this is A24, all hell breaks loose while we're there. I won't go into anything more than that because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. What you say, Bri?
So it probably gets a little weird.
A lot.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say he also dances. John Malkovich. He also dances in this.
Damn.
I want to give you guys little draws to go see the
I
film.
mean, yeah. That's,
You're doing it. You're making me curious.
To watch
sure.
him and Ayo play off each other, like I'm a little jealous of her because she gets to work with John Malkovich. But it was great, kind of like seeing like this like new person in the game with this seasoned person in the game kind of like play off each other, and also to see John Malkovich in this type of role, like I was like, he kind of crushed this, because he has a very, you don't know if he's well intentioned or not when he's on screen, and I mean that in every role he plays, like every role. I never know whether he's going to be a good guy or a bad guy, because he just has like that voice, that air to him, and that works really well in this film. The ending is what I expected it to be, but also it has like a bit of a revelation in there for the lead actor. For them, had like a little wake up moment that was like
a bananas ending.
No.
Okay.
No, but it's one of those endings where you're like, oh, it's not gonna stop. Like, it's one of those.
Okay.
I mean, or at least I had that kind of feeling. But I will go see Opus. It was really good. The music in it, ironically, with John Malkovich being like this pop star, I like the music myself. I was like, it kind of addictive.
We get to hear his in-character music.
Yes, like throughout the film. So it was pretty cool. Like, you see him even like singing it at one time, like, and he's dancing to it and he's singing to it. It's like, it's such a good thing. It's just such a great moment to see this man do this, and you could tell it was him too, because the dance steps was a little staccato, baby, but it was.
He's a little stiff.
I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed him. But Opus was really good. Go check it out. Like, I think Ayo did a really good job with being like an awkward but also firm type of character, which she kind of always plays, but it worked really well in this setting. So
I heard one of the themes they touch on too is like celebrity kind of like worship in a way. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was kind of like the whole basis of it, was like how far we as consumers take celebrity worship, how far we put them on a pedestal, and what that can do to us, but what that does to them as well.
Oh, yeah,
so
interesting.
It was very interesting. So yeah.
I like that.
All right.
Yeah, and that's one of those movies too, like,
yeah.
didn't really hear a lot about. It just like kind of popped up.
Yeah.
I think I saw a trailer.
All I saw was like posters for it first, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
What is, I have no idea what this is. Yeah, and then the trailer, but yeah, even then.
I didn't see anything about it until I looked into my A24 app, and they were like, here go a free ticket to Opus, and I was like, all right.
It's a very unique poster.
Yeah.
It's
It's
something you normally would
looks
see.
like
a book cover, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a
feels like you could
painting or a
flip
drawing.
into it.
You're onto something there, MrSniDBitS. That's all I'll say.
Interesting. All right. Well, now you've definitely piqued my curiosity. I will be checking it out.
That's what we're here for, to pique interest and curiosities.
Right. So that does it for the real recommendation, or real roundups, real recommendations, the real study, if you will. For that segment. So we're going to move on to the movies for the evening. What?
Right.
I get all of the real stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I feel like I might be.
It only took me a few years.
Just, you know.
Yeah.
He caught it now. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the real study there on the movie things.
Welcome. Yes.
Welcome.
Thanks.
All right. So we have two Mel Brooks films that we're going to be covering, and really, this is in a way for La and for Janine, because they had not seen Young Frankenstein. And Brian, of course, didn't get to see half of Young Frankenstein due to technical difficulties. So we're kind of all in a similar boat, other than myself. And then we're going to talk about Spaceballs here in a minute. But other than Robin Hood Men in Tights, what other Mel Brooks films have you seen, La?
Cool.
That's it.
That's about it.
That's it. All right.
I
no
think
Dracula
so.
Dead and Loving It, or High Anxiety.
No, I've seen bits of The Producer.
Okay. Now wait, the original Gene Wilder producer, or the remake with Matthew
the remake.
Broderick?
My bad.
Okay.
The remake.
Okay.
Did he do The Fly? I saw The Fly.
He produced The Fly, so you're not.
Well,
wrong
it's
there.
produced by
him.
him.
That counts. That counts.
That's about it, my good sir. I am.
Okay. So, Law was kind of new to the Mel Brooks, and seeing Robin Hood Men in Tights gives you a flavor, like what his flavor is like. You know, you get what he's like. But Janine, you also hadn't seen Young Frankenstein, so I'm like, since we're gonna go to Law for Spaceballs because she's never seen it, we're gonna start with Janine on Young Frankenstein. What did you think of Young Frankenstein?
I did not know what to expect. Obviously, there were famous scenes that I was fully
Uh-huh.
aware of, but I didn't really have the context for them. And ultimately, I really had a lot of fun with it. I loved the tone. I loved the atmosphere, how they really played into like the classic film black and white
Yeah, totally.
of kind of the original film. So I was really feeling like I was watching like a 1930s movie, which I really loved. Um, I realize Mel Brooks's humor is not like laugh out loud for me, but it's
Absolutely.
very much
Yeah.
like an analytical laughter. Like I'm like,
Mhm.
that was
That's
really
funny.
smart.
Yep, that was good. Yep,
Like,
come on.
I like
Mhm.
smile to myself
Mhm.
and point out that was pretty funny, but I don't
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah.
Interesting. But it's not that
Yeah.
you're having a you're not like that wasn't
No,
funny.
definitely
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think a lot of his humor is very surface, but it works
Yeah.
because it's mixed in with humor that is kind of
Mhm.
well thought out as well. If everything was very kind of surface level laughs, like werewolf, here wolf,
Yeah.
like like
Werewolf.
that obviously is pretty
Yeah.
surface, but
Mhm.
you combine that with things that feel a little more nuanced, and
Mhm.
you enjoy all those little tidbits as well. So yeah, I really went into this not knowing what to expect and not knowing the context of even like why it was called Young Frankenstein, like and the Frankenstein.
Right.
It was
Oh,
just
wow,
really
okay.
nice to kind of
Mhm.
finally get context for all of these things that I was fully aware of.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
It's a
I thought that-
classic that's weirdly making fun of classics. That yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
Mhm.
Lala, what do you think of Young Frankenstein?
Not to pull a Brian, but everything Janine said.
Yep.
No, because I feel the same way. I feel like Mel Brooks's humor isn't my humor. I won't say that there won't be moments where I was like, huh. You know what I mean? Like there are some moments like when he was when he first strikes the match for the first time and like Frankenstein, I mean like the Frankenstein's monster goes crazy and then he starts choking him and he's like sounds like that part
Yeah.
that part cracks me up, like that part
Set
cracks
to
me up
give.
because I felt like it was so ridiculous that it was just so funny because I was just like
Yeah.
that's such a thing. He's like, what are you trying to say? What are you it was just like so funny to me. This probably wasn't their intention, but it still made me laugh. What's his name? Ior, I believe his name is
Igor.
Igor. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like a play off of Igor. Yeah, like so Igor, he looks like the witch from Snow White when she's in disguise. And
Yeah.
and that makes me chuckle. So anytime he
Yeah. Totally.
so anytime he popped up on screen,
That's
I was
great.
just like, it made me chuckle because of that. Like, so he was a great character to me. So like Mel
Mhm.
Brooks's comedy isn't really my comedy, but like Janine said, I could see moments where I'm like, now that played well. Oh, that was great. Oh, that was funny. But it didn't like evoke the like laughter out of me, but that doesn't mean that the film itself wasn't bad because like it looked great, it was acted great even in like its big like dramatic moments. Cloris Leachman was a babe. I said wait a minute.
I know.
Because I'm not used to seeing her like younger. I'm used to seeing her just very Morgan Freeman. She's always been an old
we've
woman.
always
like,
known
you know
her as
what I'm
a
saying?
old
Like,
Born an old lady.
Yeah.
she was born an old lady, so it's just like one of those things. So seeing her kind of like young and it makes me want to go back, truly go back and watch a lot of actors that I've like watched in their older years, kind of go back and watch them in the
definitely do that.
Because I love that. Like just seeing her in this like was kind of awesome. And she was like, "Oh, he was my boyfriend," and I was like, "Shut up!" I was like, "Be quiet!" Like that was your boyfriend. Yeah. I was like, but I will say when it first came on, and he was like, "I'm the grandson of of Frankenstein." I was like, "Oh, that's a take." That made me like really kind of latch on and like pay attention and watch.
And him wanting to separate himself
from it, but then finds himself like dropped into it because of the notes of his, because he's a scientist. All that stuff is like in his blood. So to see that you were like, oh, maybe he wasn't crazy. Let's put it to the test. As a scientist, I have to do a test. So so it is just like it just had like really good moments. Again, didn't really laugh out loud, but I enjoyed the film as a whole though.
Right.
So I
like that.
Yeah.
Brian, you have seen the movie before, but got to see about half of it.
Yes.
which is unfortunate.
I got
But
bits and
let's
pieces of
hear
this
your
time,
thoughts.
but, yeah, so like the first thing for me is definitely, well, with like a lot of Mel Brooks's films, he's really great at like, let's try to emulate the genre. What's the genre we're going for? You know, like this is an old school like Universal monster movie, you know, so we're going to shoot it in that way. And yeah, so the cinematography is excellent. And just like the set design, everything just kind of harkens back to like that era. So it's,
Yeah.
and like, I mean, and even some of the acting just to some degree, but I mean, yeah, this one does make me laugh, you know, out loud here and there, but it is much like Law and Janine mentioned, where there's like a lot of his humor, you know, it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I see, like you're making all the like connections, you know, but then there are some
Yeah.
other bits too, where it's like, you know, when he brings, you know, the monster, his creation, out to the public, and they does the whole song and
And
dance
they're like,
number and everything.
song
It's
and
like,
dance, yeah.
he's like, make him a man about town,
Yeah.
like, so he's gonna like put him in
Yeah.
a top hat, you know,
Yeah.
and do this dance number. But Gene Wilder is just like incredible.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, I wish, yeah, I mean, everything I've seen him in, like, is just he's so good.
Yeah.
And there's some Wonka stuff
Yeah.
going on in
He
here,
was
you know,
literally
like,
like
Absolutely.
the last sequence of Willy
yeah,
Wonka. Back to
exactly, yeah, he's just unhinged, you know, like, just so
He
good.
was on Good Day, Sir for like the whole episode.
No, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, like
For
always,
sure.
like in this movie, I know, so funny. Terry Garr, like,
Yes.
he's, I mean, oh man, I know,
Zengu Doctor.
I know, she's so good.
So good.
And
roll in
the
the hand.
I don't remember his name, but he's like an antagonist character, but he's the one with like the stiff
The stiff arm.
Hand-
The
arm, yeah.
carnival.
Yeah.
So
Getting
yeah,
it
yeah.
down.
He's so, oh my god, it's just like as soon as he comes in, it's just like, so
Yeah.
funny.
Everything
Gene
about his
Hackman.
character is ridiculous. Oh, Gene
Yeah.
No,
Hackman, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
so
well, he's Gene Hackman, I know, but
Yeah.
like the performance of like that actor was like so committed.
So
I mean, the
good.
way he
Yes.
like physically
Like having to constantly move the arm with
he
his
moves
other
his arm
hand.
all the time.
Yeah.
Man, this
Kenneth
is, like,
Mars is his name.
yeah, it was so, yeah, he was really great.
You know, all of our
Um,
starring people are passed away. Everybody. in this
Every
film is
single
passed away.
person,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
every person in
Yep.
this movie, other than maybe the medical students, has passed
Right.
away.
Yeah,
The only
has passed
person
away.
alive is
I know.
Mel.
Mel Brooks, and I was like, "That's nuts." I was like,
I
"That's
know.
But
crazy."
Mel Brooks
Yeah.
was born in 1926, so like he, you know,
Crazy.
he's
Yeah.
100
Yeah.
years
He
old.
was alive when the
Um,
original
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Right, yeah,
No,
right.
facts.
He actually so that's actually why he made this movie, is that he used to he
Yeah.
said he would lay on his fire escape at night because it was too hot to be inside because there was no such thing as air conditioning.
Yeah.
And so he'd lay out there and his mom would be like, dude, the Frankenstein's monster is not coming for you. He lives in Transylvania. He would have to get on a boat, a bus, a train. He's not coming. And he's like, I don't care. I'm staying out here. I don't trust this.
Yeah.
And between that and Gene saying, let's make this movie together.
Yeah.
Apparently the movie was 3 hours long when they
my
originally
gosh.
cut it.
Oh wow!
And the whole cast and crew watched it and said, what a piece of garbage. And so
Well,
they did like an emergency like editing weekend,
Yeah.
and it was him and Gene, and they just cut it down to what we now see.
Nice.
Well, I read he
and
kept adding
editing makes a
scenes.
movie sometimes.
I read he kept adding scenes because everyone was having so much fun, and when it was getting close to the
I
end, they
see.
didn't want to stop making the movie, so he kept just adding more scenes to it.
What a like great experience though, you know, where you're like, you don't normally, you're just like, man, like we got 30 days or whatever, we have to make this.
Right.
But no, they're having such a good time. Like, no, we're
Yeah.
gonna budget be damned. We're gonna keep going. Like,
And they did. They
so
really
pretty
did.
incredible.
Yeah. So I've seen this movie dozens of times. I still laugh out loud to this movie almost all the way through.
It's a
You can
classic
see
for a
why,
reason.
right? You can see why I brought it to wanting to watch. What was wild is when we put up the promo. This promo got more play than any promo we've had in a couple of years,
Oh, weird.
and it's because people were like either quoting the movie or they were.
Yeah.
That's the
Couple
greatest
people
comedy ever
quoted on my-
made.
Yeah,
Right.
when I posted it, yeah.
and it's still so beloved.
Mhm.
And it is weird because some of the I guess more than just I love this movie. I don't know what else to say other than there's nothing
Yeah.
that I think is wrong from beginning to end. It
Well,
is
we know your
the
vote.
purest
Yeah, it's
comedy.
pretty great.
But what I like is some of the trivia. So apparently the putting on the Ritz scene was one that Gene wrote into the movie, and Mel was like, "This is stupid. I don't know why you're putting this in our movie. I don't
love
like
that.
this."
I love
And
it though.
and Gene got mad at him and like flipped out on him and was like, "No, dude, this movie, this has to be, this makes the movie. Without this, we don't have a movie."
Mhm.
And then Mel was
kinda
like, "All
right.
right, you fought for it, which is what I wanted to see, so we're going to put it in the movie." So that was their relationship, and the only time they ever fought, apparently, in their
And now it's like this
entire
iconic
relationship.
scene.
Yeah.
Right, it is
You
the
know,
most
like
memorable
it's
scene,
like
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I read some trivia as well, and I saw something about a fight they had while making this, and I guess Mel stormed out, and then he called Gene and like said, "Who was that crazy man in your apartment? You should not have these crazy people who scream at the
That's
top
Mel
of their lungs at you in their apartment." And Gene took
That's
that as his
cool.
apology.
Right.
And
Yeah.
You know
That's
what? I
cool.
wonder if the putting on the Ritz scene, the moment that scene happened, the first thing I thought of was a Golden Child.
Interesting.
Because there's a scene where the Golden Child makes a crushed up like Pepsi can dance.
Oh, yes.
To putting on the Ritz, and I wonder if that's
100%.
inspired by that at all. Like just
It
a
feels
little
like it,
maybe.
yeah.
homage
I
to
can
like
sense that.
because I've only heard that song in the Golden Child. Like I haven't really heard
Oh.
it anywhere else.
Interesting.
So hearing it in
Oh,
this,
funny.
it just clicked. And then the fact that they all have canes and top hats, and that's how it was dancing in the Golden
Yep.
Child. I'm like, it has to be inspired.
Okay.
But this is the thing about going back and watching classics, and Janine and I will say this for the fill-in that you get for the movies you already love.
Yeah,
is
you get those
wild.
references. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more.
You get so much.
Mhm.
So Peter Boyle did have a green face on set so that they could get the shadows the way they did with Boris Karloff.
Yeah.
And the entire scene, the laboratory. Come on, that didn't want to come out. Is the original 1931 James Whale set. Everything
wow.
is the real
Oh, that's
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
So they borrow from it, and then you can hear a little bit from the original Frankenstein in it for just a moment. But they actually pulled from Mary Shelley's book. There's a lot of stuff about how man can't have babies, so he's jealous, and so this is a movie about men trying to be a woman and create life.
I see. Yeah.
Which I love. And if you think about it, the entire movie is one really long dick joke. Because the very
Right.
end of the movie is literally about his large Wurmsfinger. Right?
Yes, what did you get from him? Yeah.
Right.
He's going to be very popular.
Right.
Right.
So, but it's like elevated dick jokes. It's like it's
Right.
really weird. Like it's really crass, lame humor, but brought to this really great level.
Thoughtful, lame humor.
Yes.
Well, I was listening to an interview he did during Spaceballs, which was interesting. He said the key to satire is actually exposition. If you can't tie the jokes together with a decent story, you have nothing. It'll just be joke hitting after joke hitting, and
Right.
it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Young Frankenstein is a perfect backdrop for a bunch of shticks, as you go through.
For sure.
And they are just shticks. The dart scene is one of my favorites because one, that just their interaction, and again the Inspector Kemp is like ridiculous. And the word he talks is very wonderful. And he's wearing a patch and a monocle. Like
I love a lot going on.
But Gene Wilder throws 4 darts. 1 hits the wall, 3 go through the window, and 1 goes backwards.
Yeah.
And when you go outside, there are 10 darts. 3
Right,
in each
in
wheel,
the-
2
yeah,
in the
in the wheel,
spare, 1 in the hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
That made me
Love it.
chuckle. That made me chuckle. But think about it. That's like when we see the guy take the box from the corpse, right? The fingernails on it were just like nails, they just glued on the body. But it's like, look at the year that it came out. Like, look at the thing. I get that, but it was just so funny. It felt like when I watched, Evil Dead, like the first Evil Dead, with like the cream of like corn as like the guts and stuff. So like it's just that stuff just made me laugh. I was just like, I like it.
Practicality is always great for me. Something else about the sets, I read as well that Mel Brooks found the guy who made the original machinery, and that's what they used in the film. And then they
Oh my
credited
God.
him because he didn't actually get credited for building that
The
machinery
original
and having it.
machinery, right?
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
Oh wow.
Yes.
that's cool.
So he got his credit finally, since he didn't get
Yeah.
credit in the
Oh my
original
goodness.
Frankenstein films.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
It's
amazing.
wild if you look at the behind the scenes on this movie. There's a lot of people that
Yeah.
were brought back, or like they were a Hitchcock person, or they were,
Mhm.
somebody of note that they brought in. I think for me, the reason this movie works as well as it does is Marty Feldman is hilarious and gets to just be himself the whole movie, and even just looks at us and keeps joking like he's standing there with us the whole time,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
love. But it's
Mhm.
Gene. The fact that Gene plays this character so straight, like he is not
Oh, yeah.
joking at
No.
all,
No, for
ever.
sure.
He believes fully everything. Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah, yeah.
still over the top. Like, how do you do
Oh my
over the
God,
top
yeah.
and straight at the same
At
time?
the same
Like,
time.
that is like
Yeah.
Mhm.
that is rare.
masterful,
Like,
yeah.
it really is. I don't know. The movie's well lit. I like the lighting
Yeah.
of his hair. He's got that Einstein-y thing going on, which I
He had
love
great
because, of course, the original Frankenstein, or Von Frankenstein, did not have much hair. He just had kind of that like flat look. But the sound in this movie is interesting because I feel like they actually recorded with a single microphone in the center of each stage, like they would have in the 30s. In
Mhm.
order to emulate the sound of when the actors turn around. Because if you watch, there's times when Cloris Leachman will turn around and her voice dims. And
Yeah.
then when she turns back around, it brightens up again.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
hitting the mic then. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
While modern movies, they'd sit there with a boom right over her and you
And
wouldn't
just
hear
follow.
that.
Well, and
Right.
also everyone's mic'd themselves. Like, so
Mhm.
there's multiple mics going on. So each actor's mic'd, and then there's also a boom.
Right.
So,
So, but
yeah.
in this case, they would have gone
Yeah,
with
they're
just
not
the
doing
single.
that.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great. I
Yeah.
think that adds that flavor that
Mhm.
Janine was mentioning in the beginning. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like saying perfect film, but man, I get close with this one.
If this is your perfect film, then that's your perfect film, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I don't like saying perfect because I don't believe humans are capable of perfection. So, especially with art, because art is subjective and
Yeah.
perfection means that
Which
you've
means
reached
that,
some pinnacle of some kind, which I don't believe
but it's
in.
your
So,
pinnacle.
But in
though.
essence, it's your pinnacle.
Right,
So it's
exactly.
Yeah.
It's your pinnacle, so it's your
pinnacle of all
level of perfection.
It's, yeah.
and I guess that's
So-
why we have our scale the way we have it for rating
Exactly.
movies.
So
is-
if it's
yeah.
perfect to you, it's perfect.
Man. And yeah, like this isn't a 10 because I just rewatch it because I love it. Like I just every
No,
time
you
I
love it.
watch it and pull it apart, I'm
Love
like,
it.
damn.
Obsessed. You're obsessed with this film. It's fine.
I really, truly, I've watched the behind the scenes. I have it on Blu-ray.
I know what
twice,
your
although I
Christmas
got
gift
rid of
is
it.
going to be. It's going to be just a young Frankenstein.
Well,
yeah.
I should have brought them down. I have a monster and a Frankenstein right up here, 12-inch dolls.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I don't have an Igor, so if anybody has an
Oh, man.
Igor,
Got you.
there's a beautiful
Yeah.
place for him right
It's
up
such
there.
a no, but it was such a Gene Wilder thing to do, to stab himself with the scalpel and then
Yes, and then just play it off, cross his legs,
And
like
you
Off the
kind of know
legs,
it's coming too. You're like,
yeah.
Yes,
where this
yeah.
is, he's gonna like do something
That's,
with this. Like, yeah.
that's such a Gene Wilder thing
I
to do. That I was like,
Yeah.
and
the
the way
moment
he
he took
took
it
it
up,
off.
I was like, you have to stab yourself now.
Yeah.
Stab yourself. Because I knew
There's
it was
such
coming.
little things though. So Mel Brooks is actually in the movie twice. He's the cat that screeches off screen, and then he's the howling dogs.
Gene Wilder
Is that
didn't want
something?
him to be in the film because he didn't want to break the illusion of the
Mhm.
setting and stuff
That
like
makes
that.
sense. Yeah.
And
yeah.
he
Is that
does
something
do
he
that.
does? That's something he does often because he's two
Yes.
people in Spaceballs. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's in
always
Blazing
his film.
Saddles.
Yeah, he's in-
Okay.
he's in everything.
A lot of his
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
I dig it. He was Peter Jackson before Peter Jackson, so I dig it. Because Peter Jackson know he'll put himself in his own movie. He'd be like, I'm right here in the corner.
Hitchcock always
Hitchcock,
walking in the
Hitchcock
background.
did. Yep.
Somewhere.
I feel like, why not? If I'm directing this bad boy, I'm in it somewhere. I'm
No,
a
I'm
be-
with you. I'm
Wes
with you.
Craven, he always did
One
cameos
scene.
in
Yeah,
all the
Wes
Scream
Craven,
films.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's what Kevin Smith said. That's why he put himself in Clerks. He was like, if I'm going to
Yeah.
make one movie, I got to put
I'm
myself
gonna be
in
in it. I mess with the heavy. Why not?
it. But still, Mel found his way in, being the cat and
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah.
He's
My
funny.
wife pointed this out at the beginning. There's the medical student who keeps like annoyingly bothering Frederick, if you will.
Frodrick.
She said this, and I think I might agree. This dude has like the most punchable face in Hollywood history. Like They
Oh,
picked the right
you
guy.
mean the one that was like, that kept like
Asking all the
challenging him?
questions.
Aren't you
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
grandson?
but you are the grandson of. I was like, bruh, you could
Yeah.
tell he uncomfortable. He don't want to talk about it. Leave him
Right.
alone.
Leave him
And you're a
alone.
student in his class. What are you doing
Right.
disrespecting
Exactly.
the professor?
Fail
No.
city
Yeah.
over here.
Right. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I don't know. We could literally just break apart the jokes. I don't think we should do that. That would be terrible. We didn't mention Madeline Kahn, and I think that she needs to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
She isn't in this film very much, but she brings
No.
such a beautiful element.
Yeah, she uses her moments incredibly well.
Yeah.
She does. Taffeta, darling.
Yeah, the hair.
I say
the
that to my
lips.
wife like every
No
3
tongue.
weeks, right?
Mhm.
And
No,
I'll do
she did
this to my
not.
wife.
She did not
right?
want me in a relationship with this man. Like the whole movie. I
Well,
was
she
like,
dodged his kiss. Like I love that.
Yes.
She's
Even
like,
the blowing
you know,
kiss.
she was like, no,
Yeah.
dude,
Mhm.
the fact that she
Um,
dodged the blowing kiss is hilarious to me.
right?
That is hilarious. She didn't want no parts of this man.
Mm-mm.
No
Oh, so
part.
okay. That means that La's never seen History of the World Part 1, which means she's never seen Madeline Kahn's QuickTime Heart scene, which
Have you seen
Oh.
Clue, La?
Have you seen Clue?
Clue is another one. Yeah.
Cool. No.
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
Oh,
Madeline
yeah.
Kahn's great in that one too.
so great.
Yeah,
Yes,
Nice.
yeah you guys
She's
see Clue.
Clue
good.
is on like my long list of films to watch
Yeah,
because
it's so
it's
good.
great.
the game. So I was like, I gotta watch the film. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But what's great is it goes like kind of Scooby Doo, or
Yeah.
maybe I guess a little Wayne's World if you
Little
want to go more
Scooby-Doo.
modern.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Yeah.
it doesn't end the way you expect.
Yeah, there's a nice little
Interesting.
surprise for you.
That's
Yeah,
good.
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, the cast is like crazy too. It's like
Yeah.
It
it's
is.
a really great
Oh, there's
cast.
so many great people in that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I mean, just the Tim Curry of it all, him playing the
Yeah.
butler is that's worth it in itself. Christopher Lloyd, Martin Mull,
Yeah.
Michael
Oh, you had me
McKean,
You had me in
So-
Martin Mull, man.
right?
Had me in Martin Mull. Easy.
And then Madeline Kahn, Eileen Brennan. I screwed up her name. Anyway, please go watch Clue right away.
Yes.
Especially weirdly would pair nicely with Young Frankenstein in a way.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of that campy humor. All right, why don't we rate Young Frankenstein and we can get on to that is the most ridiculous movie of all time, Spaceballs. Let's start in the same order. Janine, what do you rate Young Frankenstein? And don't let me loving it give you any pressure.
No, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I finally watched it. So I give it an 8.5.
Nice, that's a solid rating. How about you, Bob?
I'll give it an 8. I enjoyed it. Absolutely. Yeah, I enjoyed
Love
it.
it. Brian?
8.6.
Oh.
He's trying to
It wasn't
avoid
an
that.
It was 8. I had 8.5 in my head before Janine said anything, and then she said 8.5. Like, damn. So there you go.
Okay.
We should start putting the number up in front of the person and we'll just have it match whenever Janine something, it'll go right in front of Brian
Automatically.
right away.
Yes.
I love it. I think we determined I'm going to give it a 10.
You give it a 7, right? Give it a 7.5.
Yeah.
Right.
It's okay.
Plus 2.5. It's all right. You know,
It's fine.
It's
No, I
fine.
don't.
Ugh.
I wish more people would put this much dedication into making comedies, and there aren't enough comedies anymore. Like I can't stress that enough.
Right. Yeah.
But I do fear that we're going to get a lot more of them, and I say that because usually when times are hard, comedies start to spring up in order to like, make us feel better about those times. So
True.
we'll see.
Or
I think we
more
will get
death
some.
movies. Yeah.
More what movies?
More death movies. It'll be like they'll be like things are bad. Vampire movies.
Right,
Here goes the
right.
vampire
We'll have
movie.
allegories for everything that's
Yeah,
happening.
exactly.
Totally. Which I look forward to those as well, but those are not. I need the ones that are make me giggle
Absolutely.
badly at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to Spaceballs, which I said we were going to have La tell us what she thought first. So, La, Spaceballs by Mel Brooks. What do you think?
This wasn't for me. This film was.
I had a feeling she was going to say that.
Yeah.
This just wasn't for me. I understood everything. I understood the references, the Star Wars of it all.
Oh, yeah.
Again, there are moments that are fun. I do like when he hit her hair and she was like, he hit my hair. And then she just went into like kill mode. She was just like very Rambo. She just lit everybody up. She did not miss. Everybody else missed in this film. She did not miss once. It had its moments, but I was just kind of like, okay, this is a film that
More
people
cringy
enjoy.
than funny,
It wasn't. I found myself kind of like wanting to watch something else, and I know that probably hurts a lot of people. I know that probably hurts a lot of people. But this wasn't the spoof for me. I love Rick Moranis, Bill Pullman. It was funny to see Bill Pullman in something like this, because you usually see him in like very serious things, or like those like lovey-dovey type things. So to kind of see him kind of be like a Han Skywalker.
He was.
He was
like
a nomination of a bunch of.
He was like a Luke Solo, because like even like I think I had more fun with the costuming than I did the actual like film itself, because seeing him in like a checkered shirt, like a plaid shirt, but then like a leather jacket, I was like, okay,
what's happening here?
It's like y'all doing a lot with this personality.
Like,
like with the family. So overall, I'll say, because like I ain't got much. I'll just say that
she was like, I was on my phone about 90% of the movie.
It's kind of like I will say Rick Moranis in anything. I just love Rick Moranis.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I love him. So, and the fact that like when he pulls the mask up, he's like, well, I couldn't. It's like his normal voice.
Exactly.
And when it's down, it's like, oh, we have to go get her. And I just thought that
sounds like he's intentionally trying to sound like a black man.
Exactly. Like, and then it was like, again, speaking of how we watch these films that have like a through line, like Sniddy said that like Young Frankenstein was like a dick allegory. They did that in Spaceballs with the sabers. They was like, yours is a little girthier or bigger than mine. And I was just like, this is low hanging fruit at its best. But yeah, overall, it's I love you too, Marley. I love you too.
I was gonna say, I didn't know if you saw that.
I love you too. I take no offense to anything, because all films are for all people, and this one wasn't. This one wasn't for me. This one's for me. Yes, it had its moments, but it wasn't for me. Continue. Yeah.
All right. Brian, what do you think of Spaceballs? Did you rewatch it for the 10th time?
I did. Yeah, I've seen this one a lot. I've probably seen this one out of all Mel Brooks films. Probably seen this one the most. First time I saw it, I was 8 years old actually, and it was a double feature at the drive-in, and I saw RoboCop.
Nice.
So it's a double feature with RoboCop.
Nice little mix there.
Yeah, so hence the shirt. But
core memory activated right there.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. But another interesting thing too was like I was like so into He-Man, and Masters of the Universe was playing at the same time at another screen. I was way more interested in trying to watch Masters of the Universe.
You're like, just looking over.
I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So you could see the movie, right?
But you could hear it. Like,
yeah.
So.
Nice.
But that was my first experience with Spaceballs.
Wait, I have to ask before you keep going. Yeah. Do you now, having seen all 3 films, regret the choice of not seeing He-Man that night, of seeing it another night?
I mean, it wasn't really my choice. My parents took me to see those 2 movies, so those are the films they wanted to see. But
he was 8, tell you that.
Yeah,
he didn't have a choice.
But there's a special place in my heart for Masters of the Universe. So yeah, I still and like the whole like behind the scenes stuff about that film, like that, wild. Like the last battle scene between Skeletor and He-Man was just like they pretty much like turned the lights off because like the money ran out, and they literally were like in the dark filming this like fight scene, but it like works for some reason like in the movie. So anyway, I digress. But
those early 80s movies,
it does. I know.
Love those.
But anyway, so yeah, I've seen this one quite a bit. And what was interesting this time around, I was like, I don't know, like I remember liking it, but as I've gotten older, it has become less that like interesting to me or that funny. It's but for some reason, Young Frankenstein though, I love it. I still love that film. And then this one, I was like, really like things that La was saying were kind of resonating, and I was just like really kind of picking at it more. Maybe like Rick Moranis is still great. Still loved Rick Moranis in this. And there's still like those little bits, a lot of those classic ones, them combing the desert, still like, great. But yeah, there's just some stuff where just like, okay, that's like, yeah, I just was not really feeling it this time for some reason. So yeah, I don't know if that's just I'm getting more, choosy with certain things or what. But
Probably.
yeah.
Your knowledge,
There you
your
go.
movie knowledge is way more expanded since 8 years old. So.
Right. Yeah,
true.
exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I do think there's something about that, Bob, because the more we watch movies, the more you fill in the gaps, if you will, the more you start to see why critics have said what they've said or believe what they've said.
Totally.
Because Spaceballs was panned
Oh,
by
totally.
critics really badly. And when I was a kid, I was like, screw those guys. Like,
I know.
I love this movie. You guys are idiots.
so
What
good.
do critics know?
Yeah,
And then now I'm sitting here with Electric State saying this movie's, and there's some kid out there that's like, this is the greatest fucking movie ever made.
Yeah.
And I'm talking shit about their movie.
Absolutely.
I know.
And I'm just like,
yeah,
okay, this
absolutely.
is the cycle of life, man. Now that
For
I'm
sure.
a 50-year-old critic, I sound like a washed up old dude, So I hear you.
But there's
Janine-
something interesting though about, Young Frankenstein still really kind of holds up and is still really great. So it's like what happened with like Mel Brooks in those years leading up to Spaceballs too, because he's done other stuff before that as well. But yeah, I don't know.
Right. Janine, what do you think?
Yeah, kind of like Brian in this rewatch. I remembered liking it a lot more than I did. I mean, some of the jokes I think were fun. Like I was doing laundry while watching this, and the very opening scene where they're just like panning across the ship forever. I literally
That's pretty
was
great. Yeah.
put away like 4 loads of laundry and came back
The
and
ship
it was
is still
still-
going. Yeah. That's good.
So that definitely made me laugh.
Well, there's a
And I
there's a
mean-
Jaws-y thing there too.
There's
Yes,
kind of a Jaws
with
like,
the music.
thing. Totally.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't, that many years removed from when Star Wars actually came out, so maybe it being so close is just what made the jokes feel very surface. And maybe that's why it didn't quite land for me this time around. Yeah, I just remember liking it a whole lot more than than what I did. Yeah, I just felt very silly and kind of cheapy. I don't know.
Maybe for kids, like it was made for kids. in a way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I was always kind of familiar with his humor being, silly, but also kind of very thoughtful with a really interesting through line story. And this kind of fell a little flat on those parts. I will say, I think we are in trouble because why is Spaceballs feeling topical right now?
Oh my
Having
God,
Dude,
right?
screw
Oh, man.
matches
a leader with
pretty
an
well.
inferiority
Yeah.
complex was
He
very
likes to make
much
shit up, right?
speaking to
Uh-huh.
me. And trying to screw over the little people kind of energy. The one thing I always remember from this film is the John Hurt coming back and doing
Right.
that. That was
Yes.
always that I really appreciated. So when that came around,
Yeah, I like that moment. I was like, because I kept staring at him, like, isn't that my man's?
yes,
That's my
yes.
guy. I was like,
Mhm.
and then when he started doing it and it came out, I was like, I like that's funny. He's like, not again. I was like, that's funny. I was like,
Yes, and then again a top hat and a cane and singing
Yeah.
and dancing. So,
Right.
but
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't know. It just fell a little flat for me in terms of what I remember
Right.
of it.
Yeah.
But Rick
Mhm.
Moranis was great. It's like I miss
His-
him. When I
his
see
little
him, I
tie.
miss
No,
him
absolutely.
so
I know.
much.
Absolutely. John Candy, yep. Absolutely.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, John Candy. I'm a Mog. Man,
You're a
I'm a
Mog.
dog.
Yeah.
Which has some strange implications we don't need to get into.
Yes. Go ahead.
So, like Young Frankenstein, I've seen like even Brian, I've seen Spaceballs more times than I can count. I would say because it's like a Star Wars adjacent story, I watched it as many times as I watched Star Wars, which is too many. What's crazy to me is that I too felt this way this time, and I don't know what the hell it is,
Mhm.
but I started going, oh, I've seen a lot of movies now, and this is
Right.
not great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's like set problems you can see. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Pizza the Hut, so like
Yeah.
I also watched it in Blu-ray. So like I watched
His
it 1080,
helmet, you
which-
could see this piece of foam in
Right.
the helmet. Like, I was like, whoa,
So-
I never noticed it before. Like,
Pizza the Hut's sidekick.
Yeah.
For the years I was like, oh, he looks just like a robot.
so-
That's so cool.
yeah.
But no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just makeup, and you can see
Right.
that his makeup is not in his ear because he turns,
Yeah.
and you can see how. And I'm not trying to nitpick this because this is a parody. Who cares? Like that.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, Mel's known for making sure he covers up all those little rough edges.
yeah.
And it felt like he.
And if you
he
compare it
didn't
to
need
Young
to.
Frankenstein,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
the
Yeah.
quality of
yeah.
Young Frankenstein compared to Spaceballs is just, it's not the same.
It isn't, and that's what's really strange. But I think I have an answer as to why this might have happened. One, you're right about the whole Star Wars thing. This is literally Star Wars 77, Empire's 1980,
Yeah.
Brian's year. 83 is Return of the Jedi, and then 86 is Spaceballs. So it like fell right into here's another one, right? So it was
Yeah,
literally
exactly.
in the same time frame. And it was something that even all the cast, if you listen to their talking in interviews, says that kids are the ones that walk up to them and go, holy crap, that movie is amazing. I absolutely love this movie. So it was really his kids' movie, which is really weird because Rick Moranis says fuck in this movie and it's rated PG
Right.
and
Yeah.
not PG-13.
Yeah.
I was like, what? The mid-'80s was a weird time. No wonder they made PG-13 because they were smoking and cursing.
Yeah.
They didn't
and
have
all
that.
these
Yeah.
things.
I think,
Shows
yeah.
you how the
Um,
times have changed.
Right. I can quote this movie literally from beginning to end, so that's part of the reason why watching it
I
again
love
might
that
have
for
felt
you.
flat. But I can
Yeah.
literally, Yavo, Lord Helmet. Like I know like literally almost all the lines by heart.
I love that.
It's great until you're watching it with me, and then it's not fun to watch with me because I'll just sit there and say the lines. people
Honestly,
say.
I think I would have been more entertained by you than I was the film.
That's great. But the reason I think that this happened is if you look at Brooks's career from the 60s on, his comedy had purpose. So The Producers is a very anti-fascist story, making fun of fascists. Young Frankenstein was his like paying homage to classic film, classic cinema. Yes, he's tearing apart genres, but he's also saying something. Blazing Saddles is completely an anti-racist message with a bunch of racist crap in it to point out the hypocrisy. By the time he got to Spaceballs, it's like he ran out of things to say about the world and
And it was just up
making
here. I'm
parodies.
scooping. Yeah. I'm just
Right, and I
parodying
can
Yeah.
right,
sci-fi
and I can
films.
back that up based upon the movies that come after. Because if you go to Robin Hood Men in Tights, it's really just a series of these same kind of jokes. I think it works better because it's a cheaper set. You don't have to worry about. You can just go out in the woods and shoot Robin Hood. You don't have to make space sets. And then
Yeah,
you get
exactly.
movies like the ones that he made towards the end of his big hoopla, which was Dracula Dead and Loving It, which is just god awful. And then there's the one where he's just a rich guy that gets thrown on the
Life
streets.
Stinks.
Life Stinks,
Stinks,
which is
yeah.
not a great movie either. And it's like he just kind of ran out of ideas or ran out of the steam to say something. And while he's resurging, History of the World Part 2 seems like you're making fun of epics with History of the World. So what epic are you making fun of with this? And are you going to make a sequel that makes fun of sequels with Spaceballs 2?
Right.
I'm not sure. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Mel Brooks predicting instant cassettes was wild. Basically predicting that movies will have a short theatrical run.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That is apt.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those are the things about Spaceballs. Is it's loaded with really great gags.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that was a really fun one with
Yeah,
let's see
yeah.
what happens so I know how to solve this problem, and then it
Yeah.
catches up to where you actually are in the film, and it's just
Yeah.
screen and screen and screen of like the same thing. Yeah.
Right. I was your father's uncle's brother's
brothers,
cousin's
cousin,
former
yeah.
roommate.
Roommate. Yeah.
You know,
What does that make us? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Or he kills the set hand,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he goes, he did it. Like, so the jokes I think are solid, and especially solid for the 1980s.
No, absolutely.
But they
I mean,
they
like
aren't
when
solid
they
now.
Academy
Right.
doing
When they
the
all
machine
when they
sound.
all drive
Right.
when they all dive through the door and they were like, "This isn't them. It's their
Yeah, they're
stunt double."
stunt doubles.
It's their stunt doubles.
See, it's
I was
almost
like,
funnier
that's
when
funny.
you repeat the joke and
Yeah.
talk about it. It's almost
Yeah.
funnier. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's more so with like the three of you. I think it's like nostalgia, right? Like, so there's nostalgia for it, but then but
Little
sometimes
bit,
nostalgia
yeah,
doesn't
for sure.
stick. Sometimes it doesn't
Oh,
stick
yeah.
always. Like you kind of
No.
grow out of it. You're like, it's not quite the same. And since I don't have that starting point, I'm looking at it like how anybody that would look at it who's never seen it before. I'm just like, this is kind of
It'd be like if we
Yeah.
told you to go back and watch Porky's, you'd be like, why did you make me watch that movie? Why did you make me watch that? Because a lot of people have this beautiful nostalgia for this film.
Yeah,
Like,
I've heard
I know
that
people that are
movie
like, oh, Porky's is so funny. And I'm like, you're living in the past.
Yeah.
Because that movie is awful and terrible
yeah,
and
it's
rude. And
Yeah, I've heard that
there's
movie.
nothing good about it.
Yeah.
No.
It's worse than Revenge of the Nerds. Like
No, totally. It's a
Yeah.
product of its time for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There was like a whole.
Absolutely.
It's almost like its own
Series of
genre back
films,
then.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like those kind of like.
well, there
crude
was the sexploitation
cartoon
films of the 70s, and then Porky's was like
Yeah.
the 80s take on that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
trying to make it a more mainstream movie, but keeping all that garbage in it,
Mhm,
which is weird. But Spaceballs is in that same like vein. It has all those same terrible jokes, but it doesn't get to the like really creepy side of things. It stays
Right.
as
right.
just dick and fart jokes, as it should.
Mhm.
It's everything.
But yeah.
And balls.
Mel Brooks likes talking about dicks.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind
Absolutely.
that he likes to talk about them.
Absolutely. It's like Quentin Tarantino and feet. You know. It's
Yeah.
Same thing.
They should make a memoir called Dicks and Feet, right? And that's
Yes.
their memoir.
You know, there's
where they
talks
sit
of
down
a
and talk.
sequel, right? The sequel.
Yeah,
that
no,
he-
they're already it's
that he
greenlit and it's got
mentions
Josh Gad.
and then that he mentions
Yeah.
in the thing. I was like, I heard something about this, and I looked it up and was like, oh, okay, there's more to it. I was like, cool.
I love you, dude, but you're 99. Maybe making
Yeah.
a movie isn't the thing.
Yeah.
No.
And legacy sequels
I
tend
feel
to
like that's
flop.
I feel like that's why Josh Gad's a part of it, and then he could tell him what to do. It's like, go do this. Go do that.
Did you guys
Right.
ever hear that Josh Gad really regrets ever making Olaf his actual voice instead of a
I
character
know he
voice?
I
does
heard
because he
about
can't.
that. Yeah.
Because he can't speak. He can't say anything
Yeah.
about anybody without any
some
Olaf.
kid
kid
turning around and
I'll be like,
Yeah.
Olaf,
Like,
right
hey.
there. Mhm.
it's good. I love it.
But also, he's hilarious because think about it. Kristen Bell, she is Anna. Like she sounds,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
her voice.
Yeah.
Right.
But I doubt she gets as much as he does because of who Olaf is as a character.
Right.
Because
Nobody's like, let's hang out with Anna. She's rad.
Heck yeah, I'm a huge adult, and the moment I hear Josh Gad speak, I'm like, say some words, say more stuff.
Right. Talk for me, Josh.
He has a great voice. Yeah.
I'm, I'll watch it because it's
No, they got
Brooks
real
and
dirty,
it's,
didn't they, Brian? He was like, talk for
Yeah.
me.
Oh, Lord.
And I do think they're naming the movie what they named the movie in the movie, which was Spaceballs, the sequel, The Search for More Money.
Search for more money. Yeah. Will be
Yeah,
called
which
that.
I'm hoping
yeah.
for.
As
There
am
was
I.
a little piece I caught this time when they're showing all the merchandising.
Yeah.
One of the things they show is Spaceballs the cereal, and if you look, it's actually Transformers cereal
Yeah.
with a Spaceballs title, and then later on, Mega Maid is a Transformer. So like there was also
Yeah.
Transformers references
Transformers.
right when
Yeah, around that
Transformers was
time.
really popular.
Yeah.
So that's a
They were like,
subtle
it's a
thing, but
transformer. I was like, Lord have mercy. I was over here like,
why did they build
was
a
a
reverse air thing into the system?
no, that was hilarious. I was like, because also, but here's the
Well, I
thing.
guess because I had to transfer to their planet.
But think about it though.
That's
It's
true.
it's Star
Yeah.
Wars. It's Star Wars related, right? Why would you have a kill switch on your Death Star?
Yeah, why would you have this-
It's
So
an
it's-
exhaust port. It has to be
exhaust
there to
port.
exhaust the port or to
No, they
exhaust
could've
the
put it-
engine
they
in the
could've
middle
put
of
it
the Death
somewhere
Star.
When we
It
saw
was
Rogue
funny.
One, he put
Right,
it
we
in
know
there
it
on
was-
He
purpose.
put there
Yeah,
intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which makes no
But
sense.
yeah.
But I'm saying though, it's the same thing. You gotta have like a
there'll be no Rogue One slander.
something. You gotta have like a
today.
kill. I agree. I'm on the
Actually,
same boat as Brian.
I know this is wildly aside before we rate. We're way ahead of time because we did some comedies which tend to go a little shorter. But
That's
I
so
wanted to
weird.
mention Electric State in another way.
Oh,
So there are movies that I found that when I watch them, I go, I want to like this movie, even though I didn't like it, but I feel like I want to watch it, and then I'll rewatch the movie. Man of Steel is one of those movies that I really wanted to watch it or like it, so I kept watching it. And my wife's like, "Why do you keep watching a movie you don't like?" And I'm like, "Because I'm genuinely trying to find things about it that I like, that I can at least
Right.
bring it to the I'll watch this side," which is weird because ironically I've seen it more than some movies I love. but it's this weird feeling, and I wanted to see if you guys ever have those movies that sometimes where they just hit where you're like, I don't like it, but there's something drawing me towards this movie.
Right.
I have to think
You guys
about
ever
it.
had
I'm
that?
sure.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm sure I've had that. Yeah.
Young Frankenstein. No.
Spaceballs. No, I'm kidding. There was another one I
I
thought
think it was
of
a
the
one
other
and done
day.
for Law. Like, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, you want me to watch more Mel Brooks? I don't know, dude. I don't know about that.
Spaceballs.
Honestly, here's the thing. I will watch more Mel Brooks.
Okay.
Like,
For
I have
sure.
no problem with
Right.
it. These films don't deter me from him. It does make me curious to see what else he's done. Now that I know the type of humor that I'm in store for, it's not my type of humor, so I would pay more attention to like maybe the story and the characters, and not so much the humor, because it just doesn't hit for me. Like, so yeah. But I would pay more. I would still watch some more Mel Brooks for sure.
But you haven't seen Blazing Saddles because Marley says you might like that.
No, I haven't seen Blazing Saddles. Heard of it.
I think you might like it.
Never seen it before in my life. So yes.
It's still lowbrow. It hits pretty low. There's a lot of literal fart jokes in the movie. And some of the jokes are just odd, and its ending is unlike anything.
That would actually probably be one for me like that, because I watched it
Mhm.
and I didn't particularly care for it.
Interesting.
But it's still one that I haven't given up on. Like, I'm like, I know people love this movie. There is some messaging in there. I would give it another chance.
Interesting. And that makes sense. But that is kind of what I'm saying. The Man of Steel to me has some great moments, and there's definitely some great themes, and it looks good.
Yeah.
But then I just, every time I watch it, I just start pulling my hair out, and that's why I'm bald. Like, I watch Man of Steel
Oh,
that's
my gosh.
and here I am. So that is the reality. Sorry.
We gotta have this debate one day, Snitty, because me and you, we just
I'm
I
down. I'm
I
down. The thing
love
is, we
Man
just
of
have to set
Steel.
ground rules so we don't
absolutely
kill each other. At the
No,
end.
for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I can talk about movies I hate as long as you don't take personally the things that I say, because I tend
won't.
to get like brutal when
I
I don't
won't.
like a movie.
I
But I've
won't.
been trying to get better at that. Electric State, if you read my review, I try not to be too much of a dick, although I did say the Russos will not be directing by 2030 if they keep this up. So that's kind of a dick thing to say.
It's okay. I'm here
I
for
don't
it.
know. All right. I know there's a lot of like love for negative reviews out there, but I really try hard to avoid it because
I just like honest
It's
reviews,
mean.
and if your honest review has to have a tendency to be, I guess, negative, I'm fine with that. I just like an honest review.
Yeah, if it's brutal, constructive, that
Right. But if it's
Mhm.
it's just brutal and you're just
context,
exactly, you're not saying
Yeah.
anything.
sound like
There's
you're
no
trying to be
context.
friendly. Yeah.
so
Exactly.
yeah, so if somebody goes on Letterboxd and goes, "This movie's fucking stupid. I fucking hate it. I hate everybody that did
Right.
it and everybody that
Why?
did shy."
Yeah.
Stop
Then
it.
yeah,
Review.
You're
Yeah.
not credible. You're not a
I don't
credible
care
what
source.
you have to say.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can't like talk
Tell
about
me why.
Yes.
like like technical things as well, just like I don't know. I that's where I think like understanding filmmaking in general is going to
Yeah.
help you be able to like critique a
Analyze
film
films better.
or-
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And watching more films, always
Yeah.
watching more films,
Oh, yeah.
getting more into your
Yeah,
head.
because you'll see
Um,
inspirations and nuances that were inspired from something else that
Right.
you can
Did you see
appreciate.
the four? Oh, I did not know you weren't done, Janine. I apologize. Brian,
no,
did
no,
you see
you're
the 4:30 movie yet?
No, I have not seen that.
I reviewed it on here for the Real Recommendations last
Yeah.
week, and I think you should watch it because it's a film
That's
by
Kevin
a filmmaker.
Smith.
It is, yep.
Yeah.
So it's a film by a filmmaker for filmmakers and film
Yeah.
lovers,
Yeah.
and it like runs through the whole film. This theme,
Nice.
and it
Ooh, I
made
should
me
watch that.
want to get behind the
Let me write
camera
this down.
really bad. Like
Yeah.
I've always kind of wanted to, but now I'm like,
Mhm.
dude just dared me to make a fucking movie. Like,
Right.
and so part of me wants to. The
And isn't
is I'm
that
not the
about
writer.
like
My
a bunch
wife
of
is,
like
you know.
a bunch of kids who like also work at a movie theater?
No, they just love movies.
Oh, okay. I
They
thought
don't
it was
actually
like,
work there. They're just
Oh,
going
gotcha.
he's going on a date with a girl he's always liked to the movies, and
Oh,
that's the
okay.
film
That's
like
the
is wrapped
4:30
up
movie.
around that date.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
I think you'd like it. It's also
Yeah,
on my digital if you want to watch.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
You weren't here, and I
Wow.
really wanted you to hear my review of that
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah.
So
I'd heard about it. Like,
Um,
sounded
so
interesting.
Me and
So, yeah.
Janine wouldn't like the film.
we talked about it last week. We literally you weren't here last week. I
Yeah,
apologize.
nobody
No,
was
so
here
Law,
except me.
Janine was. So I'm thinking of Brian and Janine. I apologize. So yeah,
Yeah.
Law, I do think you would love the movie for exactly the same reasons as I gave Brian.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you want to be an actress, which it doesn't mean you wouldn't want to direct. But I'm just okay.
I want
I'm
to do it
Let's
all.
do it all.
I'm over here.
Let
just-
us all related.
Don't put me in a box, Snitty.
It's Don't
I'm gonna-
pigeonhole our girl.
Yeah.
I'm gonna-
Man.
I'm gonna text.
How do I
back.
run away? I can't even run away.
I need you to handle
Wow.
this back. See what's going on.
Right?
She
Get
is
this
not
man
a
under
Michael
control.
Sarah.
She's no
What is
Chris
going on?
Pratt, right?
No, she's not.
Unsubscribe. Man, I get that comment more often than anything. It's okay. I can be the
Thank you,
unsubscribe
Aina.
guy.
Thank you.
All right, so we can rate Spaceballs, and then we will again mention the movies for next week. So let's start in the same order. La, what do you rate Spaceballs?
I'm gonna give it a solid 6.
Okay.
A solid
okay.
6. Yes, I'll never partake in this film again, but it had its moments. 6. I'll give it a 6.
That's your highest rating of a movie you'll never see again.
Yes,
Hmm.
So
absolutely.
that's a decent rating almost.
Yeah, it is actually for me. Absolutely.
It is.
The BG5 said 25 out of 10. That's on Twitch. Baseball, all right, let's go.
The beige, man. We love it. Thank you. All the movie things. What do you think of Spaceballs?
Yeah, mine. Yeah, it was like I couldn't believe it while I was watching. I was like, "What happened?" Like I
It's like I know this film.
used to love this movie, and like, man, it was just crazy to me. But also, it was like, especially after watching Young Frankenstein, it's just like,
In comparison,
yeah, just like wow, like he had
Very
something
different.
with Young Frankenstein,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and yeah, it's also a 6 for me.
Ooh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
Janine.
I surprised myself. I know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised too.
To just so I don't invoke anything demonic and to play this little Price is Right game. Right,
I tried to make sure I
Yeah.
switched you guys tonight, right? I switched
6.1.
Yeah.
Good
There you
game.
go.
6.1.
Oh
Okay,
man.
Yeah,
all right.
Janine
That's
gets caught
funny.
up. Let's go.
The nostalgia is too
test
big of a factor for me, so I'm gonna have
Right.
to still give it at least a solid 7 because I do still
I
watch it. I still
respect
quote
it.
it.
I
so-
Yeah, for sure.
and I will watch
respect
it again. I know I will. I own it. Like it's gonna get watched again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I tried to make sure you guys weren't one after the other in the same order tonight because sometimes I'll do that to you guys.
Mhm.
So I'm glad to get that.
Okay.
Right. 6.2 average. Ouch.
Come on,
Whoa,
come on,
whoa,
Aida.
whoa.
Yeah,
Marley gives it
girl.
a 7.1 out of 10. Thank you, Marley. I appreciate that. The highest rating of the evening.
The Beige said 8 out of 10 now. 8 out of 10.
Beige, 8 out of 10. All right, all
8
right.
out of 10.
Beige,
Serious
Beige,
answer.
watch it again in 10 years and you might lower your
And
rating.
it's going to
was the
get
first time
lower.
watching
It's
Right.
going to be a 5. No.
Because it used to be a 10 for 12-year-old SniDBitS. Like I was like,
Oh yeah.
damn, this movie's amazing.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if 12-year-old me would like this film.
See,
I
if
had
you
a-
had watched it when we watched it, I think you might have liked it more because you would have been on the
honestly-
Star Wars hype and
Yeah, I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have though. Like
Really?
there's like even as a kid, my
Your opinions
humor-
kind of
my-
never really changed.
never really changed a little bit, but like
Interesting.
my humor has always been like a type of humor, and this is very. And
Like
that's
a
not my
metronome.
that's not my humor. So I probably even as a kid, I
I'll give
probably
you
would have
that.
liked the set more. I probably would have like loved the set and like
Yeah.
the costumes even more than I already do now. So I think that would have been like even higher. But like the story as a whole, I probably would have been like, this ain't me.
Maybe this is a good way to put it. Young Frankenstein, they were like, here's what we're doing, and we get to laugh. But in Spaceballs, they're like, this is funny. No, this right here is funny.
Right.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's
Yeah.
It's more
forcing
like-
you to believe it's
Yeah.
funny.
Right.
So
Yeah.
wait, Marley gave it a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. That's a 9, dude. That's not
Yeah.
a 7.1. But hey, ratings change, and we know that from tonight's episode that ratings
Absolutely.
do change. But this kind of goes into the always rewatch the movies you didn't like when you were younger. because you
Absolutely.
might be
Maybe
surprised.
Oh,
that
yeah.
shifted as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And avoid the ones you love because you may end up hating them and you don't want
Absolutely.
that. So like keep the nostalgia. It's worth
Yeah.
it. It's
Because I gotta
worth it.
rewatch Mac and Me. I don't know how. I
Don't
really
do that
feel
to
about
yourself.
Mac and
Oh,
Me.
man.
Don't do that to yourself. Don't. If you
No.
think Spaceballs was bad,
I gotta
Yeah.
rewatch Mac and Me. You know, so I gotta rewatch all my childhood classics. You know, Never Ending Story, all them good ones. You know what I mean?
Neverending Story holds up, I think.
Yeah.
The
Well, Gore. What's my
Cloak and Dagger I watched, Brian, not that
Yeah.
long ago. And
Man, I love it.
I love it too. And there's, you know,
yeah, I
there's
own
some
it.
great moments.
There's
Dabney
like this
Coleman, like,
Special edition 4K that came out that I picked up from Vinegar Syndrome. And it's like
Nice.
this cool box set. The whole thing looks like an Atari cartridge. Like, yeah, it's this whole like really cool. They did a really great design on it, on the whole box. Yeah. So,
Yeah, because they actually
yeah.
went to Atari and had them make the cartridges for that movie, which I thought
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
Even though the game's not real,
Right.
but it looks real,
Cloak and
and I
Dagger.
always wished I could play
Yeah.
it. It's such a unique story with it
It
being
is,
about this
yeah.
like kid missing his dad kind of a thing.
You're right. It is kind of dark too for like
It
it being kind
is.
of kids.
There's like kidnappers and shit in it.
Yeah.
And like, but it's
I
a kids
love
movie.
I love
Cool.
dark kids movies. I feel like
Yeah.
they help kids develop in ways that like parents in the other world doesn't. I like dark
Right.
kid movies.
Well,
Maybe
Never Ending
that's what I always
Story, right?
Yeah, I
It's a
always love dark
seriously
kid
dark
movies.
movie.
My
Yeah.
gosh, yes. I always love
Yeah,
dark
and that's
kid
what I
movies.
liked about the Potter films. They got darker as they went on,
They
as the
did,
kids
yeah,
got older.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. That's like one
They're
of my
like, we can
favorite.
give you more. Yeah, you're now 14. Here's some
Yeah, you
Dementors, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Marley asks, Spaceballs or the Star Wars Christmas special?
Star Wars
Spaceballs,
Christmas
I'm sorry.
special. I like the Christmas
Ooh.
special. I'm going to Christmas.
Damn.
That's pretty bad.
That's tough.
If I had to choose, it's the Christmas special because I know it's bad, but if I had to choose between the two, I enjoyed the Christmas special more than I.
It's because you really like knowing where Chewbacca's from and Kashyyyk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get it. Makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
We have finally got through our Mel Brooks evening. We've been talking about this episode for a long time.
Yeah.
Next week, we will be doing Ladies in the Mob, if you will.
Yes.
So we've got Fresh Kills, which is written and directed by...
Starring as well.
Starring, I apologize. I screwed that up. Jennifer Esposito, am I right?
Jennifer
That's right.
Yes,
Jennifer Esposito, yes, sir.
And then The Kitchen, which I forgot who's in it. How did I forget that already?
You got
Do you
Elizabeth
remember?
Moss,
There you go.
Melissa McCarthy,
Melissa
Tiffany
McCarthy,
Haddish.
Tiffany
Haddish
Haddish.
was the other one.
Yeah.
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 So
Also, both these films are directed by women
nice.
as well. So
And it is, of course, International Women's Month. Is it the month?
Women's History Month.
Yes.
That's right. I knew it was.
Yeah. There was International Women's
Month.
Yeah.
Yes.
History
Yeah.
Day.
Day.
The day.
Day.
And the month.
Day,
Right,
and then
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a month. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
terrible about that.
Also, The
But
Kitchen
we're-
is I think an adaptation of like a DC property.
Yes.
I think, yeah.
I think
So-
so. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So it's a comic book movie. All right.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everything's somewhere in it's either a book or a comic book now, or
Mhm.
it's an adaptation of a previous movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This has been season 4, episode 22 of The Real Study. We really appreciate you guys stopping by and talking Mel Brooks with us. And we will see you guys next week.
Make sure you follow us on all
Enjoy.
social media once again. Like, sub on our YouTube and our Twitch for more.
Have it.